All right, guys, I just wanted to go over, I believe this is 18 total bold predictions for NFL Week 17. Now, some of these are not complete bold predictions. Some of them are crazy. It's just a few different things that I think could happen in the NFL and this video, just to entertain people. So we're going to go the top predictions. Number one, starting with the Thursday night game, the Titans, I think they do rest Derrick Henry. There's no reason for them to really put him in harm's way. The Cowboys end up winning this game by 14 plus points. It is important to note Tony Pollard might not play in this game, but you would expect with Dak Prescott, Zeke still in there, along with CeeDee Lamb and their receivers. The Cowboys get the job done on the road against a team that just lost to the Houston Texans. Very hard to see Tennessee winning this game with Malik Willis starting. I've got the Cowboys winning it easily, even though it's very hard to blow teams out on the road in the NFL based on these this current scenario we're looking at with the Titans really not needing to win this game, really just meaningless. I think the Cowboys win big. The Browns at the Commanders ends in a tie. Guys, I don't know. It's just got a weird vibe to it. So, the Browns, a team, they've struggled recently. Deshaun Watson looks rusty. The Commanders officially switching back to Carson Wentz, right now sitting 2-point favorites. A lot of money coming in on the Commanders to cover that 2-point spread. I will note, these are the type of games the Commanders do cover. They've had a pretty good record, so has Taylor Heineke. I know he's not starting, but just in general, the Commanders have had a pretty good record against the spread. I know a lot of people are kind of done with them after their recent performance, but I do think this has a weird 20-20 type tie to it, and it would be the second tie for the Commanders. And guys, when I was younger, I really didn't like ties, but now I'm starting to embrace them and really root for them. When a game is in overtime, I honestly just root for the tie because I think it's funny. But we'll see what happens. The Cardinals-Falcons game is fun. Drake London goes off. So, guys, Drake London really impressed me last week in the Colts in Baltimore. Desmond Ridder, he started a few games. No touchdowns, no interceptions. I think you've got two teams with young quarterbacks, Trace McSorley trying to prove that he can at least be a legit backup in the NFL. And then Desmond Ridder, there's going to be a lot of motivation for both of these offenses. You've also got DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and then, of course, the emergence of Drake London, the top 10 overall pick. I think it's going to be a fun game. It ends 27-24 on a Falcons walk-off field goal. They end up winning it. The Cardinals do need to tank in this situation. Number 4, the Chiefs kill an already dead Broncos team. So yes, the Broncos sitting at 13.5-point underdogs on the road against Patrick Mahomes, who can smell another MVP trophy. He just has to play clean football over these next 2 weeks, and I think based off of how many interceptions that Josh Allen has, he will probably win the MVP. Of course, you do have Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow, and maybe if Joe Burrow goes crazy, Mahomes struggles, or Josh Allen goes crazy, Mahomes struggles, we could see one of those two guys stealing the MVP, but it feels rather safe. The Chiefs at home, Mahomes is going to take care of the football like he did against Seattle, and they're going to win this game very easily against the completely dead Denver Broncos team who's dealing with injuries. They've totally quit. They fired their head coach. I would not bet this game because I don't like betting huge spreads, but I think the Chiefs are going to crush them. Colts continue to tank at the Giants. Guys, I said on Monday before the Monday night game versus the LA Chargers, I advised the Indianapolis Colts. I said, listen, you need to lose this game. There's no reason to win it. And it was beautiful. They lost 20-3. I was in on LA -4. And they easily covered. And the Indianapolis Colts have deployed such an elite tanking strategy, starting Nick Foles now. It is so smart. They're going to lose to the Giants. It might actually be a close game, but they're still going to lose. Probably lower scoring. The Colts continue to tank, and they are set up great for the future. If they can find a quarterback, they've got the receivers. Alec Pierce, I'm really high on. Michael Pittman, maybe they get Paris Campbell re-signed. You've got a good offensive line. You've got your superstar running back who you're currently sitting, and then you have a solid defense. So I love where the Colts are going. Keep losing. Get as high of a pick as possible. This is a full and complete tank mode for the Indianapolis Colts. Number 6, the Buccaneers crush the Panthers. Sam Darnold has an epic meltdown against a good Bucs defense on the road. People are forgetting Sam Darnold. He turns the ball over a ton. I'm telling you guys, he's due for a bad game. Everyone is in on Carolina +3. That's when you run the other way and you take the Bucs, even though they're like 2-14 against the spread. This is one where they're going to actually cover because Sam Darnold's going to have a meltdown. It's not going to be nearly as easy as it was last week for Carolina at home. They're going to get shut down in the running game against a good Tampa Bay defensive front. And then Sam Darnold has his crazy meltdown. The Buccaneers win in a shocking blowout. Trevor Lawrence goes for 3 touchdowns. The Texans get beat badly. So yes, guys, there's been word that maybe they'll rest Trevor Lawrence because it's meaningless. No, Trevor Lawrence is a second-year QB. You need to get him as much success and as many reps as possible. This is a great situation for Trevor Lawrence in a dome against a bad team. Get him more confidence. He's very young. I think Houston's going to get crushed in this game. They're going to lock up the number 1 overall pick, and Trevor Lawrence goes for 3 passing touchdowns, including 1 to Christian Kirk, and also Travis Etienne has a big game. Number 8, Derek Carr's last stand. There's been word maybe they get rid of Derek Carr. I would expect them to. That is Vegas at the end of the season. But I do think Vegas gets one last upset with Derek Carr, and they beat San Francisco at home. At some point, Brock Purdy's got to lose, you would think. At some point, you've got to double team, triple team Nick Bosa. You can't let him take over this football game. Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Adams, they have the talent plus the 6 at home to not only cover the 6-point spread, but actually win this game outright. And there's a bold prediction. I think Vegas gets it done against San Fran. Number 9, Baker Mayfield and the LA Rams. They're going to play well in a close loss. The over's going to hit, the over 41. I do have the Chargers winning this game, but the Chargers have a major issue covering home spreads, +6 or -6.5. There's no way they cover this. They'll win the game, but it'll be something like 30-27. It'll be a higher scoring game. The Rams have certainly found something with Cam Akers, with Baker Mayfield, Sean McVay. A lot of people forget he's still a really good coach, especially offensive coach. He's unlocked something within Baker. Baker's playing with confidence now. It's great to see. They're going to keep this game close in kind of a neutral site affair there. Number 10, the Steelers win outright at Baltimore. So the Steelers, especially their defense, playing better. The Ravens, without Lamar Jackson on offense, they're an eyesore. They can't score. I think this is a situation where they want to make sure Lamar Jackson is 100% healthy. They're probably going to lose the division to Cincinnati. Why not just make sure he's healthy going into the playoffs? They've pretty much wrapped up, or I think they have locked up a playoff spot. That is the Baltimore Ravens. So the Steelers, Kenny Pickett's getting more experience. He's getting better each week. They're going to get the job done. They're going to win this game by a field goal on the road in a low-scoring game. Number 11, Garrett Wilson goes crazy in Seattle with Mike White back. Guys, I'm expecting about 190 receiving yards from Garrett Wilson. It's a total breakout game with Mike White back. He's a future NFL superstar. We all know that. The Packers handle the Vikings at home with the playoffs on the line. Certainly, guys, I love the Packers to cover the 3.5-point spread. The Vikings are due for a loss. We all know it. And Green Bay's been playing better. Their defense is finally playing to, how much they invested into it. All the first-round picks are playing well, and really, you've still got Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. There's an issue with Christian Watson. Is he going to be able to play? That could be an issue, but still, this is Aaron Rodgers in the cold at home versus Kirk Cousins. Give me Aaron Rodgers. I don't care that he's old. I'll take the Packers to win this game. Josh Allen has an MVP performance at the Bengals, and Stefon Diggs goes off in a Monday night shootout versus Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen has 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, and Buffalo wins that game. Stefon Diggs has 2 receiving touchdowns. Fantasy 0. So this is a fantasy player I think for whatever reason will not perform well. Tyreek Hill at New England. We know how Belichick does it late in the season, how he schemes against the opposing team's best player. And for Tyreek Hill, it's very tough, probably without Tua Tagovailoa. I see Miami's offense getting grounded in this one in a very tough environment there in New England. We saw Cincinnati and how bad their offense was in the second half against the Patriots. So Tyreek Hill, in terms of daily fantasy, I would stay away from him. Obviously, in a season-long format, you're starting him no matter what. Fantasy hero, I think DeAndre Swift goes for 35 points. Personally, to me, it's just a great matchup. You've got Jamal Williams probably going to be out. DeAndre Swift maybe with 6 or 7 catches, a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown. He really hasn't gotten a ton of touches this season. I think they're going to completely unleash him against the bad Chicago defense in the Dome. And he's going to absolutely go off. That's my thought there. Sleeper. So I was looking at like the daily fantasy, and Darren Waller is like the 7th in terms of like tight ends, how much they're worth. He's like 7th. I think that's crazy. Darren Waller led Vegas in targets and receiving yards last week. It was just a horrible matchup in 10-degree weather in Pittsburgh. Now he comes back home. Vegas has been great at scoring at home. I think Darren Waller catches at least 1, maybe 2 receiving touchdowns, and he turns out to be a really good value play in terms of daily fantasy. Worst game of the day. This is just a subjective thing that, I do think the Colts at the Giants is probably going to be a really bad game. I'm expecting the Giants to win a lower scoring game. Obviously, the Colts are completely tanking. The Giants, they're, I don't want to hate on them, but they are a rather boring team with Daniel Jones. Let's just call it what it is. And then the best game, certainly, there's always seems to be at least one great Monday night game a year. I think it's this one. Bills at the Bengals. I have the Bills winning 34-31. The NFL is going to want some big-time scoring in this game, and I think they get that. They get their wish with the Bills winning on the road, battling for that number 1 overall seed. How about this prediction? Both Cincinnati and Baltimore losing. Both Cincy and Baltimore lose this week. There's another bold prediction right there, because I've got the Steelers beating Baltimore, possibly without Lamar Jackson, and then the Bills and Josh Allen on Monday night over Joe Burrow and a Cincinnati team that really is becoming one-dimensional. They're struggling to run the ball at this point, and they got shut out in the second half against New England. So guys, those are 18 of my bold predictions here for the NFL week number 17. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.